So this is video number 2 in the How to Practice series, which are short sermons on how to get your shit together, in my opinion. I was going to restring my bass while doing this video, but that went fairly disastrously because I cannot multitask. The best thing, there's no substitute. Let's abort that. That was awful. I'm just rambling now, aren't I? I even did a video on why you shouldn't multitask, and I don't take my own advice. So the first stage in the process is actually admitting to yourself that you need lessons, and I think this applies to everyone, including me. I still take lessons whenever I can because it's good to remind yourself occasionally that you suck. And even if you've been playing for a long time, I've been playing for about 18 years, which is terrifying. Even if you've been playing a long time, that's no guarantee that you are musically skilled, competent, or that you know everything that you need to know to do the gigs that you aspire to do. The problem is that it's hard to be objective about your playing while you are playing. We don't have the necessary neural bandwidth to be able to accurately make judgments about our own playing while we are on a gig or while we are practicing. Obviously, the workaround for that is recording your gigs or your practice, but your gigs might not be a reflection of how you want your playing to sound. Let's say that you want to work on jazz improvisation. If you're doing lots of function gigs, then hearing a recording of yourself playing Dancing Queen or Superstition last Saturday night is not going to give you much information about where you are in terms of improvising, playing over changes and things like that. The other thing is that if you're recording your practice, then everyone is the best player in the world in their own room when there's no one else about. If you're on a gig, then things become quite different because there are multiple sources of interference that will affect your playing. So I need some sort of accurate feedback about where your playing is and what you need to do about it. This doesn't have to be a teacher in the traditional sense. It can be what I'd call a critical friend. This could be another musician that you work with. It could be another bass player that you get together and jam with occasionally. The problem with that is that if they're a friend or a colleague, then they might sugarcoat things and they might not be brutally honest about what you need to work on. They might not even hear things in your playing that you need to work on. The best thing about having an experienced teacher is that they will not need you to like them. That might sound really strange. I'm going to say it again. A decent teacher will not need you to like them. Everything they say to you, every piece of advice they will give you, should be geared towards maximizing your musical progress. Now, there are different ways of doing that. There are, lots of different ways of giving positive feedback and constructive criticism. Now, lots of people say that they want feedback on their playing, that they want constructive criticism, but what they actually mean is they just want praise. They just want a pat on the back and a gold star and to be just told to keep on doing what they're doing. Now, we all need a certain amount of encouragement and positive reinforcement in our lives, but that won't really affect massive positive change in your playing. You need accurate feedback about what's going on musically speaking, otherwise you won't progress. To borrow a rather tired cliche from the exercise community, pain brings about change. You need to be out of your comfort zone if you want to maximize your musical development. The next stage in the process is working out what format the lessons are going to take. Now, there are lots of different options. The most traditional is the in-person one-on-one lesson. There's also, obviously now, Skype lessons are a huge deal. Some people do group lessons, and the really trendy thing at the moment is joining an online subscription service and taking lessons that way. Obviously, Scott's Bass Lessons is the #1 site for that. There's also Video Bass Lessons TV, which is Yannick Guasdala's thing, Joe Hubbard bass videos, and I'm sure there are lots and lots of other ones springing up every minute. So technology has really opened things up. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you can get a Skype lesson with someone that you admire. And the great thing is, because of the way the music industry is at the moment, it's very hard to make money from record sales or streaming. It's hard to make any money from streaming, and there generally are not enough gigs to go around. So all these great players, people like Damien Erskine, Rufus Philpott, Evan Marion, Steve Jenkins, all those guys who are serious players and do real gigs, they all do Skype lessons quite openly. And if there's someone else that you really admire, you don't know if they teach, just email them and say, hey man, I'm going to give you $100 for an hour of your time. And it's very rare that anyone's going to say no to that, because why would they? Why would they say no to that amount of money for spending an hour talking about something that they're very passionate about to someone who's highly motivated and wants to improve? The great thing about the Skype lesson is obviously you can record everything, video and audio, and then just review it at your own pace. The last time I took a lesson was about 2.5 years ago, and I'm still wading through all the content, transcribing things and working on the concepts that we looked at. Out of all the lesson options available, I'd strongly recommend one-on-one in person, particularly if you are a beginner or an intermediate bass player, because there's no substitute for getting in a room with someone more experienced than you and getting immediate feedback on your playing and being able to ask very, very specific questions about musical things that you might need to work on and are not sure about. The other thing that one-on-one lessons give you is accountability. Now, if you're taking weekly or fortnightly lessons, I wouldn't let it go any more than a fortnight between lessons, otherwise things start to slip. If you're taking weekly lessons, then you have to show up somewhere on time, and being on time is a very important skill for musicians to foster. You have to show up somewhere on time every week and show that you have done the work. And if you haven't done the work, you are wasting your money and your teacher's time. So that's a great thing to do. Contrast that with the sort of online subscription service type model, where it takes a lot of self-discipline to log in every day or every other day, and then you have to pick out of all the content on that site the things that you think that you need to work on. And it's very easy to get sucked into that trap of just going, what's new today? Because people are so hungry for content, there's tons and tons of new stuff being uploaded every day, every week, and it's very easy to get sucked into that trap of cherry picking the new things, the new exciting things, and that leaves you with a very broad but very superficial knowledge base. It means that you know a little bit about a lot of areas and there's no real depth to your playing, which obviously is not very positive. So accountability is probably the biggest thing that lessons give you, having someone checking up on you, because if you're anything like me, then you will go to almost any length to avoid doing the work. So let's say you've decided on one-on-one lessons with someone in your local area. How do you go about finding that person? The first thing I would look for is to find someone who gigs. Find someone who gigs a lot, or someone who has gigged a lot in the past. They might have got to an age where they don't want to be gigging all the time anymore, or they might be focusing on family, other commitments, whatever. But find someone who has worked a lot and done a lot of different gigs for other people. That's really important, because it's very easy, especially in this day and age, to create a lot of your own hype and blow smoke up your own arse and make people think you're a big deal because everything you do is of your own invention. I'd always advocate looking for someone who has been hired consistently by other people, who's been rung up, and people have paid them money to play bass because their playing sounds good, rather than it always being their own project. Why is this important? Well, you need context. If you're looking to work, looking to be a working musician, you need advice from someone who actually works or has worked in the past and has done proper work. It's really easy to go to a teacher and get lessons on double thumbing or tapping or any other circus bass skills, but those sort of things exist on maybe 0.01% of real life gigs, and you need musical facts. The second point on the list is finding someone who deals in musical facts: harmony, melody, rhythm, chord tones, standard notation rather than tab. Obviously, running a bass transcription site makes me more than slightly biased towards notation rather than tab. I actually grew up on tab and didn't engage with notes, real notes, until my first day of music college at the age of 19, which was a bit of a rude awakening, shall we say. But I won't get too into the argument of tab versus notes, because it's fairly divisive and lots of other videos and articles on that already. But using tab allows you to skirt around a lot of the important musical issues, and it's kind of like being able to speak lots of words in a language and not really knowing what they mean. So if you go to a teacher and they don't deal in real musical facts, they don't deal with chord tones and with standard notation, it's a bit like needing an operation and going to a surgeon and the surgeon turning around to you and going, sorry, I don't do bones. They're lacking a massive area of their knowledge, and you could argue that they shouldn't be trying to instruct people if they don't have those areas of knowledge. Now, to find someone who deals in real musical facts, I would always advocate finding someone who has some sort of formal musical training, possibly who has been to music college and has a music degree. Now, there are lots of great players who have not done that, who have not been to music college, but those players are fairly few and far between. Obviously, there are certain internet-based teachers who are very vocal about the fact that they have not been to music college, and that's fine. But if you look at their faculties, you'll see that almost everyone, without exception, has been to Berkeley or some other similar institution. Now, correlation is not causation, but I have always found that there's a strong link between people who've had extended musical education and them knowing their arse from their elbow, musically speaking. One of the things you have to realise is that everyone is self-taught and no one is self-taught. What do I mean by that? Well, if you are teaching yourself, you're always getting stuff from other people, even if you just get onto YouTube. If YouTube is your teacher, you're always learning from other people, even if you're sort of under your own steam. Okay? Also, if you go to a teacher or a music college or whatever, they cannot do the work for you. They can open the door, they can show you the door, but you have to walk through it, you have to put in the hours. So everyone is self-taught, nobody is self-taught. To conclude, we all suck, we all need lessons, we all need feedback. Get regular lessons, hold yourself accountable, find someone who knows something about music and has done real work, and you will see the benefits in your playing fairly rapidly.